What's up, beer drinkers? How y'all doing this week? Oh, we got a special show for you this week. I don't know if you're like me, you totally forgot we were going to have a special show because I said it last week. But now that we're here, we got a special show. Like I said, Sorcerer Chromatic and I couldn't hook up this past weekend, so I had something in the can that I did for our monthly Tap That Takeover, where I record with a dignitary, if you will, from the Arizona beer scene at Tap That Downtown, right there, right off of Roosevelt Avenue on 5th Street in downtown Phoenix. This past month, I got together with Rachel Beerkowski from Bonehaus Brewing. Their first Friday Tap That Takeover was Bonehaus, and Rachel and I, it's funny because she and I met up over at our friend, the Boozy Scientist, or at Boozy Scientist on Instagram. He's a home brewer and also a chef and a pickler too, as I come to find out, or fermenter. Anyway, we met up at his house. A group of us met there, and we brewed a chocolate peanut butter milk stout. And then Rachel and I hightailed it on over to Tap That, and we recorded this little sit down. And she's been on the show plenty of times before when we used to do the beer history more often, I should say. In fact, when we were talking off mic, she said that she'd like to do it again. So we are going to get together again for another beer history sooner than later. Anyway, so it was kind of hard. I wanted to make it different because, she and I have talked a lot on here, and I kind of wanted to ask her some different questions. So I think I did a good job of doing that stuff that she hasn't been asked a billion times. Her and Roxy have been doing the podcast and YouTube circuit, if you will. I don't know if there's a real circuit, but, people ask if they want to come on, and they do because they like to promote their brand, which I 100% endorse and sponsor. I shouldn't say endorse, but support them. And anyway, so she was telling me that, they get asked the same questions quite often. It's like they kind of know every beat, and they actually gotten they're fine-tuning their responses. So she told me that afterwards, though. She didn't tell me that before. So we kind of, sat there afterwards and had a beer or two, and we were just talking. And she was, and I was asking her about beer babes and everything. And then she brought that up. So anyway, I'm glad I was able to give her something different to think about and talk about on this episode of Cold Brew Podcast. So. Okay, so before we get to the show, don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Untappd. Search Cold Brew Podcast and friend us, and we'll friend you back. And if you already haven't, I'm sure you have, but follow Rachel at Brews with Beerkowski. Also, Bonehaus Brewing, Bonehaus, and Tap That Downtown. Follow all of us. And and then we'll follow you back. So thank you for downloading yet again another Cold Brew Podcast. So without further ado, it's time for another Cold Brew Tap That Takeover. When was the last time you went to a beer festival? Like as a patron, not
oh my God,
a volunteer or some working it somehow.
Probably before I worked for Bonehaus.
Okay.
So 2017.
Do you think you would ever go to another one in maybe like the Great American Beer Festival or something like that? It'd have to be like an out of state or.
I mean, I would, yeah. I think working them is a little more fun than attending.
Agree.
Because you get to interact with people more. Mm-hmm. Whereas otherwise, when you're attending, you're just drinking, and the focus is on trying as many beers as possible, and that doesn't always end well.
I've seen those, yeah. I've seen those pictures, the aftermath.
Oh, my God. Yeah, strong beer fest. Walking out of there, seeing the aftermath is...
Mm-hmm. I've always walked out early because I know my limit. I hit my limit. And I'm like, you know what? I don't want to do it anymore. you
Yeah.
know? Or I don't want to go anymore because I don't want to reach that
Yeah.
point. And by then, like, I'm giving away my tickets as I'm walking out the door to somebody.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I
But-
know. Yes. That's smart of you.
because I've done this enough now. I wouldn't call myself, I'm not, the most seasoned veteran at going to beer festivals, but
I feel like you're pretty seasoned.
I've done enough to know, like, my limits.
Yeah.
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 And there was just a big one in Flagstaff the other day, huh?
Yesterday.
Yeah.
Real wild and woodsy. They changed it from woody to woodsy.
Because they're up in Flagstaff amongst the pines? Mm-hmm. Okay, all right. Or did they change any of their requirements
I don't know.
as far as, like, you could bring anything now?
Probably.
Because it used to be it's got to be real wild or some
Or
type of barrel aged. Yeah. Whether it's a
Yeah.
new barrel or a rum barrel or bourbon barrel, whatever, right?
Yeah. I don't know.
A cask. Does a footer count?
I mean, I guess you'd have to ask the guild what they what their requirements are for woodsy, but I would think that would count as a wood aged beer. Yes.
Yeah. Did you go up there for that? No.
No.
You were able to. You took that festival off.
Well, I worked the tap takeover here on Friday night,
Yeah.
and then I couldn't get up to Flag
Okay.
to be there on Saturday, and then here I am today. So
And we had brew day earlier.
yeah.
Which how was the tap takeover here?
Oh, it was great.
Yeah, I haven't.
Yeah.
Because I work Friday nights, so it's hard for me to come to the tap takeover.
Yeah.
I would maybe one of these days I'll have a Friday night off and I'll be able to make it out. But
I mean, First Fridays is really fun.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all different kinds and people wandering in and out, and people that are interested in learning about beer or trying beer. And this is kind of a cool place to be able to sample varying beers without committing to like a full, 4 or 5 ounce pour.
yeah,
You can kind of
true.
run down the line and, do a 1 ounce pour or a splash pour and then figure out
A
where
super
you want
flight.
to go. A super flight. Yes, a super flight. Yeah. A 34 1 ounce flight.
Why not? But they do have they do cap you with your little fob
Oh, do they?
to make sure you don't overserve.
Well, that's cool too.
yeah.
I didn't know that.
And you, if once you reach your limit, then you go up to the front, and then they could judge by whether you're competent or not. Are you sharing the fob with anybody? So if you are, that's fine.
Yeah.
But then they'll allow you some more.
That's a solid plan of action.
Yeah, because that was
Yeah.
the first thing I asked Roshim when he and I sat down and talked. They're like, how do you prevent that? And I'm like, oh, that's okay. I get that.
Yeah.
So-
Solid.
Yeah, and plus, I mean, they're pretty attentive over here. And if they notice someone who's doing too much, they'll cap it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And we're right down the street from Greenwood. Mm-hmm. Now, do they block off the street on Tap Takeover, or is it everything's open and?
So Roosevelt was still open for traffic and all
Yeah.
of these side streets. So 4th,
Okay.
5th, however many, those were all closed off. So
Yeah.
the vendors are on the numbered streets.
Oh, that's cool. So they do have their pop-ups and everything.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. The streets were lined with tents of, it could be anything from food to jewelry, artistry. There was like bondage, like rope bondage art.
Oh yeah, what's
like,
that called? Shibu or something like that, right?
Yeah, or yes, just right out here when
Yeah.
I left on Friday night. So there's all sorts of things.
a little bit of taste for
A
everyone. huh?
little bit of everything. Yes. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I definitely want to come out here, but it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And well, you're all the way up in Fountain Hills, so coming down here is
It's
trek.
not quick and easy.
yeah,
ride.
you can't do it every day.
No.
Can you imagine people actually commute every day
That
far?
Gnarly.
or farther? I mean, do what you got to do for your family, right?
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So Bonehaus, have you been there since the beginning?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
We opened in April and I started in August. So
Okay, same year, just a few months. And what's it been like? About 6 years now? 7
we
years?
turned 6 April 21st. Yes.
Oh, okay. April 21st, you turned 6.
Yep.
What have you noticed from that first year till now, like the biggest change in your mind?
Our beer has gotten significantly better.
That's always a good thing.
Yeah, no. Like the brewers we have now, they've got the system dialed in.
Yeah.
They're cranking out really, really good beers, and that's really exciting to have people in the tap room try it and be really excited about it, but then to also hear about it out in the world. I say, I work for Bonehaus. Oh, I had that really good, XYZ beer, at whatever tap room, and it was awesome. So, yeah.
Being able to be like, I helped make that.
Well, I didn't help make the beer, but
I've seen pictures of you pouring malt in the
yeah,
in the mill and stuff like that.
I can't say that I'm on the brew team or anything like that. But
yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah.
But you're still part of the team.
I am.
It takes a team to do everything, right?
It does.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
So,
yeah, you can make good beer all day long, but if you can't get people to come in the front door, then what's the point?
Yeah.
So
have you always been like that, like kind and welcoming? Is that just because first time I met you, you were so nice and welcoming and not talking down to someone, but at the same time explaining to them aspects of beer? Is it?
I mean, I've always liked teaching, engaging people, helping them think about things.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why I really like talking about beer to people, because everybody has a relationship with beer in some way, shape, or form, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah.
And when you can effectively talk to people about beer, usually you can hit something deep down in them, some sort of resonance with a past experience, a smell or a taste or a time in their life. And then you can make that human connection, and then you can learn something about them. They can learn something from you. And I think that's the core of why beer is so incredibly crucial to humanity.
Yeah, you go back all the way to the Mesopotamians, right?
Yes, you do.
And that's what I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, our longtime listeners know you from your beer school and your drop in knowledge and everything. How often do you now? For those of listeners who don't live in Arizona, might not know that you actually put on beer school classes at different breweries. It started off in just Bonehaus, but now you're doing it in different locations every once in a while?
Every once in a while.
Yeah.
So at Bonehaus, it's the second Tuesday of every month.
Okay.
Consistently, unless I'm traveling or something like that, and then we'll change it to a different Tuesday. But it's always a Tuesday night, usually the second Tuesday of the month. And then, I've kind of started expanding outside of Bonehaus, mostly still under the Bonehaus brand.
Yeah.
So at tap rooms, similar to perhaps something like this, where if you want to host a beer school at your business, you can pull in a few Bonehaus, kegs, and then I'll come in and I will curate a beer school for your unique audience at your tap room.
Oh, okay. And the engagement you find there's a high level of engagement, low level. It depends on the crowd, or
I think people really like it.
Yeah.
For the most part, people are pretty engaged. They come to those sorts of educational events with the hope to learn something.
Yeah.
Or they come with questions and they want to engage. So, I as somebody that is teaching in quotes, you want that engagement, because most of the time, if somebody is asking a question, somebody else in that audience is probably thinking something similar. So then that sparks more conversation, more engagement, follow-up questions to that original question. So, yeah.
And you use the Bonehaus beers as your examples for what you're talking about?
Yep.
Now, do people come up to you afterwards and ask you more questions even?
Sometimes.
Yeah?
Sometimes.
That's cool.
Yeah. Or the shy ones will come up and say, hey, I didn't have, the guts to ask this question in front of everybody, but, blah, blah, blah.
There's no dumb question, right?
There's no dumb questions.
We're all learning, right? And
all the time.
You got to be open to the fact that someone's at a different level than you.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, they might find it ostracizing a little bit. In my experience, anyway, that's what I see.
Yeah. And I feel like you have to be open to any sort of question or conversation, because that question that person asks might then help them be more confident in wanting to learn more about said subject, like beer. So it's really important to help encourage those people to speak up and not be afraid to ask questions and seem like maybe they're asking something silly, but they're actually not. They're just being a normal person that's curious.
Yeah, and when I see or hear people asking, simple questions like that, I would call them simple because, or maybe
just more commonplace. Maybe?
Yeah. Like we were at that point at some point.
Oh my God, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like something that we asked. Maybe it might have been like 6-7 years ago, but we still asked it. So they're that part of their journey. So. I think that's another thing. I wish I could join. I wish I could participate. I wish I could come to one of your beer schools because it just seems like a great environment just to drink beer and learn. Maybe, I could learn something, even though I've been doing this for about almost 8 years now, 7.5 years. And, I've been drinking beer since, legally since I was 21.
Yeah.
I know I think, who is it? Was it Socrates or something like that saying, the only true knowledge is knowing that you know nothing or something like that? I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah. That sounds right. I don't know much about the Greeks or the Romans, but
as much as, oh yeah, you're more of an Egypt.
I am a pre-classicist, yes.
Yeah.
That's too late in history for me. I don't care about that.
It's too new.
It's too fresh. Yep.
What about the Egyptians made you want to study about them?
Truthfully, I've been obsessed with Egypt since I have memory.
Okay. How? What was it? Do you know?
I do.
Did you ask your parents?
So I grew up in Milwaukee, and my mom, when she had kids, decided to leave her job to stay home and raise the kids.
Okay.
And she also opened, at the time, a daycare center. This is not legal now. This was, in the late 80s. And she was really focused on engaging us with arts and culture, and we would go to the Milwaukee Public Museum.
Okay.
In my memory, it seems like all the time. It probably wasn't all the time, but it seems like all the time. And in their permanent collection, they have several Egyptian artifacts, but one of them is a mummy.
Oh.
And so some of my earliest memories is going to the museum and seeing this mummy and then all of these other Egyptian artifacts and just being enamored, obsessed for reasons of which I can't even explain as, a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old, but just knowing that this is really interesting to me and I love it. I want to see it. I want to talk about it. I want to, when we would go to the
learn
museum,
about everything you can about it.
Yeah. I would ask, I said, Mom, can we go see the mummy first? And we would beeline it to go see the mummy when we'd go and visit the museum. So some people would tell me that's a past life thing. I don't know anything about that. I just know that I've always been enamored with ancient Egypt.
That's crazy. Not crazy, but that's exemplary because some kids would just be like, oh, they're bored. Immediately bored in a museum.
Sure.
Some kids are.
Yeah.
I'm not saying all, but the fact that you keyed in on that and just that was kind of like what you made your major in college. I mean, that's from when your earliest memory to your highest education in the education system was that. Did you learn anything about yourself while you were studying Egypt?
That's an interesting question. As far as, can you elaborate a little bit more what you mean?
Like seeing or learning about their lifestyle and their religion and their beliefs and their joys and their games and their everything about their culture. Something in it that resonated with you that you wanted to incorporate that into your life.
I guess it always just kind of felt like home.
Okay.
And when I went to Egypt for the first time, I feel like maybe some people can relate to this. Maybe most people can. I don't know. But when you go to a place and you just feel like grounded in a sense, like, you know, you can like your insides, like your deepest, like central nervous system can like let go and relax.
Yeah.
Like that's how I felt when I was there.
Really?
And again, somebody would say that this is some past life shit. And again, I don't know anything about that, but like it just feels natural. I don't know.
That's amazing. I think that's something that maybe not everyone can experience in their lifetimes.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You just never know.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
cool.
I hope if people desire for something like that, that they can find that sort of really
of course.
deep down,
Yeah.
strange out of body experience.
Yeah.
But
Any plans on going back?
I would love to go back today if I could.
Right.
Yeah. These days I'm a little busy, but I would love to get back there to work again. I would love to get back on archaeological excavation.
Yeah.
As a volunteer, because, you know, excavations can't afford to pay people, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of the expectation. But I'm just not at a place right now where I can afford to do something like that.
No, I get you.
So
someday soon, I know you will.
someday,
Yeah.
I absolutely will. Yes.
And I know you've been busy with not just with Bonehaus, but with also the Beer Babes family and promoting women in the beer industry. And I heard you when we were at our friend Nate's house brewing beer. I heard you talking with our friend Charlie about what it means to be a babe. And I never really thought of it. Is that did you and Roxy think of that when you were thinking of the name, or is it something that you thought of afterwards, or? First explain the babe
Sure.
part. Yeah.
Or explain the beer babes, or
No, just the definition of babe to you.
So, yeah, when we set out and we created the beer babes, there was no intention of using that word in a provocative sort of way or anything like that.
Yeah.
It started off as just being about women.
Yeah.
And it was kind of supposed to be, you know, cutesy. But as our community grew and as men were getting more involved and wanting to be involved, we kind of took a step back and thought critically about what this name means, Beer Babes Family. And Roxy and I, for me and for her, the word babe just means it's a term of endearment for somebody that you love. I don't necessarily think the word babe inherently has a gender to it. Perhaps it does. I don't know the history behind the word. But, you know, I call, like, my cousins babe. I call, you know, you can call a significant other babe.
Yeah, it does. It goes both ways.
Yeah. My pets, my horse, when she was alive, I called her babe.
Yeah.
Like it's a term of love and endearment and being, you know, intimate with somebody in you know, a positive way. And so we were like, yeah, we're taking this term and we're using it with all of that with it. It's a babe is somebody of whom you love, and it doesn't matter what gender that person is. And then babe is also, it's a vibration, you know, it's something that you are. You're a beer babe is somebody that loves beer and they're confident about their love of beer and they want to talk about it and they want to create community around it. So for us, that's what that term means.
It blew my mind when I heard that. I'm like that, and it made sense. Like I had not a light bulb, but just like oh my God, that's perfect. That's like a perfect definition of what a beer babe should be. When you were explaining it to Charlie, I'm like, oh, I got to ask her about that. Yeah. Because I think it does make sense to it. If you want to foster a welcoming community, you have to include everybody.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, you can't exclude anybody.
Nope.
So
Nope. And we want everybody involved.
right,
We can't do the things that we do without the strong community that is behind us.
right.
Yeah.
And you guys reach out to I'm sure breweries have reached out to you. Have you had to decline? You don't have to name, but have you had to decline people or breweries from collabs from doing like a collaboration beer or
For what reasons?
any reason? Like we just did one with you, or maybe some of their past transgressions, or any type of reason.
So we certainly are selective in who we work with,
Right.
Because we want to make sure that they are inclusive and really supportive of all people in beer. So there have been some where we have had to politely decline for
Okay.
those reasons, and back out of some for those reasons. But for the most part, we've not had to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I just because I know you and I kind of know Roxy a little bit, and any brewery that you associate yourself with, I'm like, okay, there's a check mark on them.
Yes. Yes.
And what's your next one? With your next collab? Your next
So
one coming up?
we will be in Yonkers, New York at Yonkers Brewing
I love that
on
name, by the way.
June 22nd.
Yonkers. Really, June 22nd.
2 weeks.
2 weeks
From
wow.
yesterday.
What
Yeah.
what kind of beer is it? You remember?
Shit.
I'm putting you on the spot right now.
No,
aren't
I don't. That's Roxy's side of the business.
Okay.
She would know immediately.
Yeah. She'd know the malt, the yeast, and all that
Yeah.
stuff.
No, I don't know off the top of my head what the style is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you going?
I am going.
Is that your first time in New York? Have you been in New York before?
Been in New York once before.
Okay.
My cousin lives there.
Oh, okay.
He lived in Astoria. Him and his wife now live a little bit upstate, but they're going to drive down to
Oh,
come to
nice.
the release.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm
It's
very
always-
excited.
It's always good to reconnect with family that live
Yeah,
far away.
yeah.
What and I heard, well, I mean, I know for a fact because we were talking about it, but you have the Oklahoma trip coming up.
Uh-huh.
And that's in August, right?
August 10th.
Yeah.
9th and 10th. We have a double release.
A double, 2 different breweries?
2 different breweries.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's going to be a lot. Are you going to be ready for the 10th? I know the night's going to go off, but
It's going to go off for sure. Yeah, no, for those double or triple release weekends, you really have to be mindful and pace
Yeah,
yourself,
right.
or you won't make it.
well, some people should.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just anyone in the country, anywhere, you'll
Yeah.
collab with anyone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No matter how big or how small.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
As long as you're a good brewery that supports people, all kinds of kinds, that's all we require.
And the Beer Babes just bestowed their first was it grant or scholarship, or what would
a
you call
grant.
it? It's a grant.
It's a business grant.
And that
Yep.
was a brewer in Canada, right? In Ontario
Yeah.
or something? Mary Brewster?
Beth Keefe.
Yeah.
That's her name. She's the head brewer, co-owner at the Granite Brewery in
Oh, okay.
Toronto.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yep.
And how once a year, right?
Once a year.
Yeah. And
Yep.
when's the next one? When's the next grant? being granted?
Our applications, they close November 1.
Okay.
So we've had a couple of applications already come in, but
awesome.
usually it's very last minute per the usual.
Yeah.
So
So around Halloween, you get a bunch of them flooding in.
yeah, and we'll start pushing like advertising for it. Maybe late summer, early fall to try to encourage folks to start thinking about it.
Okay.
But yeah.
And speaking of which, you guys are your next local one is going to be in November, right? For
November 9th
Yeah.
at Greenwood.
at Greenwood, right
Yep.
down the street, right
Across
up
the
block.
street. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Is that going to be an annual thing? It seems like it's an annual thing now.
I think Megan wants to make it an annual thing. This will be
Yeah.
our 3rd year with
Yeah.
them. So, yeah. I think she's into it.
Yeah.
So,
It's fun. Yeah. I haven't seen Megan in so long. I bet her baby's huge now.
well, she's a very busy lady.
I know
She's
she
got a
is.
lot of stuff going on.
I know. Almost as busy as you.
Yeah, I think she's more busy than me, but
So Bonehaus. I don't know how much you can talk about the future of Bonehaus, but are you guys gonna expand? Are you gonna open a new location? It seems like the what everyone does when they start, getting popularity is they open like a remote location somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Have you? Is there any talk about that, or you can't say?
Yeah,
yet?
no. We would like all of the above.
Okay.
it's just right time, right place sort of thing.
Okay.
So we are hoping to expand into the building that we're currently in.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So in that strip mall complex, we would like to keep, kind of taking that over slowly, little by little, whether it's fermentation space or if a restaurant would want to move in and start serving food, that could all be part of, the Bonehaus umbrella. And then certainly a second location. We've been talking about that for a while, but again, that's right place, right time, just waiting for that right opportunity to pop up. We're not in any rush, we're pretty patient folks. So it's distribution is great. Our brand is growing throughout the state. So, that is important for us to keep cultivating and making sure that helps, keep carrying us through while we're looking for other potential opportunities.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, something a little bit more centrally located would help you guys.
It would be, it would be cool to be, somewhere like this, downtown, or even downtown Mesa, downtown Gilbert, downtown Chandler. Yeah, any of those places where there's just inherently a lot of foot traffic.
Yeah.
Where it doesn't have to be a destination.
Yeah, right now, as we talk, the East Valley is more population dense than the West Valley. But I live out in the West Valley, so that's where I would love for not just Bonehaus, but any brewery to come out there, because it's growing. If you want potential, the West Valley's got potential. East Valley's set. I mean, we all know Tempe is done. They can't get any bigger.
Yeah,
we've heard because the Coyotes wanted to move there and they did that whole thing. And I'm like, really? Everything in Tempe is spoken for. Not that you couldn't take over an existing spot already.
Sure.
But I'm just saying, like, as far as growth goes, population wise, the East is pretty set.
Yeah.
So just saying.
Yeah.
Bonehaus West.
That's a good little thing to put out into the universe. Manifest it. Right?
They got the microchip factory is about to open up, and so they're just building a shitload of housing over my area. It's good and bad.
Yeah.
Good and bad.
I feel like it probably hurts a little bit.
Yeah, the property value goes up.
That's helpful for you. Yes.
But, the elbow room goes down. I did love my elbow room.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
It is what it is. We can't stop it.
Exactly.
Progress, right? In big fat quotes. Progress.
Progress. Manifest destiny.
Exactly. Jeez.
Oh, man. I've been listening to a lot of audiobooks and about Arizona. I about like the mostly because that's what people want to hear is about, like, Doc Holliday and Wyatt Earp and the old school Arizona, and they were just like, oh yeah, they were in Globe one day and then next day they were in Prescott. I'm like, no, that doesn't.
It takes days, if not weeks.
Yeah, I mean, you did it in a paragraph. It would have taken like a whole chapter to get there.
Yeah, seriously.
And like I see all these and all the places they say they talk about Tombstone and Globe and Prescott are they're not as developed as like Phoenix or in the Valley, and they don't mention a lot of that in the books. So, but I am coming to appreciate Arizona a lot more with every year that I'm here.
That's
and
good.
Especially the beer scene, which is, I would say, they're in their adolescent phase.
We're up and coming. I think I like to say that.
It's not as mature as some of the the bigger spots like Denver and the New England area and San Diego or the Pacific Northwest, but we're getting there. Yeah, we're getting there, and there's a lot of cool. I don't know if you notice this, but for me anyway, breweries that are opening up with, for lack of a better term, a lot of money. they're opening up and they're just building like these beautiful places. Like how? Like when people are like home brewers and they want to become a brewery, they move into little like industrial complexes and warehouses and setting up shop. And like there's a lot of more money coming into it. Have you noticed that too, or is it just something that I'm misconstruing?
No, I don't. I don't disagree with you. I think there's those that have that privilege of having that big money behind them, and then there's those that are little and don't have that too. So I think we kind of have both of those things.
Okay, all right.
But it is fun to watch. all of the above.
Yeah.
And to see what takes off and what doesn't.
Yeah.
And it's going to be interesting to see over the next 5 or so years what happens to American craft breweries and how businesses adapt to the ever-changing alcohol consumption scene that is the United States. I'm interested to see what happens.
Yeah, because it's interesting you brought that up because I noticed online, not everyone, but there's a lot of articles and like, the TikToks and the videos and it seems like a lot of people are choosing non-alcoholic stuff.
Indeed.
And that's like a new venue. There's growing niche. It's a small percentage still, but if you go year over year, the non-alcoholic push is taking over, or not taking over, but is exceeding everything else.
It's growing exponentially.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you? Yeah. I think there's a cap at some point, because I think every market segment has a cap, but I don't know what what it is. Do you notice that at Bonehaus? Are people asking for non-alcoholic variations?
I mean, not super frequently. We do carry athletic for non-alcoholic beers, and then we make non-alcoholic craft sodas too.
Oh, okay.
So we do have non-alcoholic options. The bringing on of athletic beers was not until maybe 8 months, 1 year ago, when we started noticing an uptick in people coming in and asking for something like that.
Oh, okay.
So, certainly there is a growing market and desirability for those options for people that still want to go to breweries and have that community aspect, but just not consume, the alcoholic portion of that.
Or they're there with somebody
aspect.
that
Sure.
is drinks, but they want an option for themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
No, I get that. Have you tried any of those NA beers?
I've had a few of the athletic beers. Yeah.
I haven't had any of the athletic brand, but I did a dry January for the show, and I think most of them are okay. Of course they're not anywhere close to being a regular beer as far as my enjoyment, but I think there was one that was just like, no, I'm done. I'm out on this one. No, there's no way.
There's some styles that can translate over better than others.
Yeah, true. Yeah, IPA is not one of them.
No, certainly not.
They tried. I'll give them that. But Sam Adams, not just the haze, I think it's called, is a hazy IPA, NA hazy IPA, and it won I want to say a gold.
Oh.
But in the NA category, though.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I can see how hazy, because they do have a lot of flavor to that.
Yeah, those lovely aromatic flavor hops. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I was at the Firestone Walker Invitational Beer Festival last weekend, and there was a brewery from New England called Mountain Culture.
Mountain Culture.
And they had like concentrated hop solution, or for lack of a better term, in these like little test tubes. And they had 3 different concentrates, and they had a base hazy.
Okay.
And they ask you how many they allow you to 3 drops.
3 drops
of 3 different hops that they had. And
Okay.
one of them was a new Nelson. There's a new Nelson out there.
A new Nelson.
Yeah.
Okay.
I forgot what it's called. I'll have to show you later. But
Okay.
yeah, you can say, oh, I'll take 1, 2, or 3 of any one of these hops.
Okay.
And so you can customize your hop experience in the hazy that they had. I thought that was pretty
That's cool.
interesting. They had a little pipette and they
Yeah.
they put little 1, 2, or 3 drops of whatever hops you want in there.
Was the beer a IPA like to begin with?
Yes.
With X amount of hops?
It was a hazy IPA,
was a hazy
just
IPA.
a base hazy IPA.
Okay.
And they just added a little bit more flavor of and so they had 3 different hops, 3 different like flavor registers. Like one was a citrusy one, one was a more of a floral, one was a
Maybe
like
piney.
a melony or
Okay.
piney or something like that. I thought that was kind of interesting. I've
That
never
is
seen that
interesting.
before.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
That reminds me when Bonehaus first opened before I worked there, and this has since disappeared, but you could ask for your beer to be dry hopped. So they had stainless steel, like tea bags, for lack of a better term, that they would put dry hops in, and then you would dunk it in your beer, literally like a tea bag, to give that extra little hop aroma to it. It didn't really change much of the flavor.
Yeah, because I would think you need a little bit more time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was maybe more of a gimmick than anything,
Okay.
but it was cool nonetheless.
It was, yeah. It seems
And
like
it
it.
was a different way to engage with your beer.
Yeah.
So, I mean, some people really dig that sort of thing. And so I think some people, if you were to have that in your brewery situation, they'd really get off on that. They'd think that's really
Customizable
cool.
beer, right?
Yeah.
I think that
Yeah.
too. I don't know if you could do that with any of the other ingredients in the beer.
Yeah, no. It wouldn't be immediate, really, I don't think.
Yeah,
I mean, malt extract, yeah, it's just different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, with the water, you water it down. Who wants that?
Yeah.
But maybe some people might. I don't know if it's true, but I've been following that Cycle Brewery out of Florida, and so the guy on there, I don't know if he's the owner or the head brewer, is like, yeah, all light beer is they just add water to it. I thought it was brewed differently. I thought it was
I'm not sure what he means by that.
like
He
they just
literally
brew a beer and then they just dilute it.
I can't speak to that, I
Yes,
guess.
I have.
but
That's the first I've heard of it. I always thought they just didn't add as much malt to it, so it didn't convert as much. I guess that's the cheaper way to do it. Just make a lager and dilute it.
And what beers are?
The macros.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, I don't know. I wouldn't like to think that's true,
I know, right?
but I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know that either. When I first heard that, I'm like, nah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe.
I'm skeptical. I don't know
Yeah.
if I believe that, but I'm not an expert in the macro world,
Nah.
so.
Me neither. I still drink macro, but.
Oh, me
yeah.
too.
What's the last macro you drank?
PBR.
Oh, really? You like
Oh,
PBR?
Yes.
I haven't had PBR in such a long time.
PBR permanently lives in my fridge.
Oh, okay. All right. That's
Yes.
fair.
PBR and High Life. That's it.
Oh yeah, I like High Life. I like High
Yes.
Life. I like Banquet.
Banquet's good.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yep. Big fan. Big fan. Yeah, those are the 3
Okay.
that I would buy for myself.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I won't turn down any beer that somebody brings me, but
Right. Yeah. Because if it's free, it's for me. Number one. Number two, I don't want to be a snob. I might think twice about a Corona though.
no, not a fan.
If I go to a party and all they have is Corona, guess what I'm drinking?
Tequila? I don't know.
No, Corona.
Oh, okay.
I'll drink it. Yeah, I'm not that.
Okay.
I'm not that. But if I had a different option, I would try that one first. Because
Okay.
I don't know. I just don't like it. There's something about it. I used to like it.
Yeah.
I used to think it was great.
What
Yeah.
about if you have like 3 limes in it? Does that help or does that make it worse?
No, that might help.
That might help.
Yeah.
I'm a Corona with 2 limes kind of girl. I need minimum 2 limes.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
minimum. But I'll still drink it, no problem.
All right. All right.
Pacifico? No, I don't need limes with Pacifico.
I love Pacifico. That's a
Yeah.
good one. Yeah, I really like Pacifico, and that's my for a while that was my favorite with street tacos. Street tacos and Pacifico.
That's
Oh my God, it was so fucking good.
Sonoran Desert food right there. People that don't live in the Sonoran Desert don't even know what we're talking about, but oh my God, is that perfect?
I don't know. I feel like street tacos are everywhere. If there's a taco truck out there, you're having street tacos. Mm-hmm. That's all there is to it. Because I mean, what else is it? It's not like a Taco Bell taco.
No, oh no.
Yeah. My daughter's discovered Taco Bell tacos. She loves them.
Well, we all have to go through that phase.
Yeah, I know.
It's healthy and normal.
We try to make her like a street taco, like a basic taco or a regular taco. She's like, yeah, I know. Like, okay, I get it. I went through that phase.
Yep, it's okay. It's okay.
I remember my dad used to turn up his nose when I'd ask for sour cream.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, because when he was growing up, there was no
sour cream.
In fact, they didn't even call burritos. Everything was a taco.
Oh, okay.
Burrito's more of a Americanized term for wrapped. Yeah.
Interesting.
But anyway, it's that whole thing, our parents' generation, and my daughter's going through it now. It's like, oh, that's your generation type stuff. So
yeah,
it happens to every generation.
Yeah.
You become passe or the old. It's always about the new. It's all about the skibbity toilet riz.
Yes.
Oh my God. That's another podcast by itself.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, anyway.
Yeah.
Rachel, always a pleasure having you on the show.
You.
Number one. Number two, I really value and treasure your friendship.
Likewise.
Cheers, my friend.
Cheers.